Hello, this is S tier, and I wanted to release this guide on how to use Isaac currently, because as we know, he was heavily nerfed from his former self. And while he did deserve a bit amount of nerfs, he did get hit pretty hard. But I'm happy to say that there's a lot of things you could still do with the character. Not to excuse my voice, I'm kind of sick right now. And but besides that point, I would like to really show what you can do with this character because there's still a lot of options and great stuff you can really do. And while he can't really get on par with a lot of the higher tiered characters, he's basically pretty much in the winnable zone of everybody else, in fact winning many matchups. So let's get to it. First, I'd like to start off with the Plasma Cutter, the former gun loop, the bane of everyone's existence that had a melee character. Isaac no longer has this tool, but he does have a pretty efficient poking tool at least. So you'll see that it gains 15 AP. If you walk forward and do it, it gains 20 AP, but it is so slow, I won't even demonstrate it. It's so slow that you can actually get hit while hitting somebody with it, so look at that recovery. And you can get, yeah, you can just get hit with it and there's nothing you can really do. So it's advised that you do not use this. I mean, it may give you 5 extra AP, but that's largely irrelevant. So when you're using Plasma Cutter, for starters, you want to use it as maybe a tiny bit of a combo extender, or maybe to just get some AP on somebody that's grounded. So yeah, that 15 AP isn't much, but it definitely stacks up in a zoning character that Isaac now rightfully is. So next on, I will go to his triangle attacks. His best tool now is definitely, as it was before, is Force Gun. And while he's not melee based anymore, which I'll explain in a second, he still has some pretty good melee options, especially if you're facing the wall and your opponent's close to it. So with his Force Gun, there really is no combo follow-ups besides the said Plasma Cutter. But what you can do is actually get a, I wouldn't even say higher than a 50-50 OP setup, and it's pretty nuts. But yeah, put it down, Saw Blade, level 1. And if they wake up with all of their used downtime, you can punish them immediately on wake up, and there's nothing they can do about it. And then, if they wake up on Saw Blade, it's confirmed. And if they roll, it's confirmed. And if they get hit by the freeze ball, it's confirmed. So your opponent almost has no options whatsoever. This was a great tool for pre-patch Isaac, and it still is right now. The only thing is, with your Force Gun, if you hit someone in the air and they're not close to a wall, they'll just wake up. As you can see right there. It's like a mid-air recovery, more like. So, not really that useful when you're not close to a wall. And the good thing about all of this wall tech, you could probably get creative with the Saw Blade, maybe mixing in some stasis pressure, then level 1, you can get creative with it. But the good thing about this is that Isaac is now more centric around zoning, as he should have been. And while he's very weak in certain melee areas, not making him able to handle certain situations, he at least is able to defend himself pretty well. So if Raiden's far away and I'm up by the wall, I can put my mind down still and make the bola, which is red, pink, and blue, travel extreme distances. So if Raiden or any other character is in my range, you can actually blast him away with this one move. So as you see, bola shoots him probably the distance of PS1, which is pretty huge, without recovery, of course. And this really shows how, since you can spam this infinitely, how viable of a zoner he is when not fighting some certain other zoners who shall not be named. And with this tool though, he handles a lot of characters which maybe could have trouble moving in onto someone that controls so much space, so he's still quite viable. Maybe not as much as certain others, but definitely effective. And since the mind goes away, you're going to want to alternate between putting your mind down and putting your bullet down. And then while you're doing all of this, you really want to control as much space as possible. So you have your blind spot with your mind, and while you're zoning with your bullet, you can throw a Plasma Cutter every time they get maybe in that certain distance of getting your space, let's say. So it's pretty viable still. He's still a really great character for controlling tons of space. Now let's get into his advanced options. Ones that aren't really as accessible, but still pretty decent. What you're going to want to do with his grabs is, when you get these grabs, you got to really determine what kind of situation you're in. If you're facing the wall, You obviously can't do your up grab, and I'll show you what that's capable of in a moment. But what you can do is this. As you see, the hit reaction for being hit in the knee is still there. It can't be followed up by anything else but that very move. So let's display that again. And if you feel like throwing your opponent across the map for some reason, and it's a big map, you can simply force gun them again, and as you see, they fly across the entire map. And if this was practice large 1, it would still go an incredible distance. So I'd say that's pretty great for a zoning character to have melee, which shoots you across the map. So definitely a useful tool. Now what if I'm facing the other direction, and I'm not close to this wall? Well, you have your up grab burst that was not removed. I think they may have tried to, because as you notice, the reaction on this is shorter, but you could still do it. It's kind of hard execution-wise, but you can actually do an effective juggle by repetitively hitting them on their backside, basically. And usually hit around their backside, bottom half, leg, whatever you like to call it. And it will kind of give them a slowed down juggle reaction, and I'll try to display it really quickly. There it is. That is his up grab burst. So anytime you're against the wall and you grab someone the other direction, that's a guaranteed burst. Maybe it won't work that well in some characters, it'll be unrealistically hard, but for most of the cast, it's manageable. So let's review really quickly. We have them facing this way, down grab, and eject in the opposite direction. Very effective. And then if you're facing forward, up grab. This forward grab is pretty good if you're desperate for your opponent losing AP, but that's about it. There really isn't much follow-ups where forward grab a good thing besides force gun. So now finally I would like to get into Pokey. And that includes using some pretty obscure stuff like this. And what you can do is just repetitively read your opponent based on rolls. So if your opponent's a rolling type, be sure to put a saw blade down. Let's say I have it here. Put the saw blade down because the saw blade travels forward. So if I have a level 1,
I warned you.
And I throw down Raiden here, take a big quick backstep, go behind your saw blade, and you can punish them on any action. So that moment where Raiden rolled, I could have took the shot. Or if he tried rolling behind me, the saw blade would have hit him. So you're really negating a lot of options your opponent has. And this is really what Isaac is about, is just getting consistent reads and zoning out your opponent. And while he's not as good as his former self, he still gets a lot done. And yeah, that's basically it for essential Isaac stuff. I'll get into more obscure and advanced things later, and I hope you all enjoyed and maybe learned something from this video. Alright, peace.